Um, and now, if you didn't know that before, now you know why you might ask why. I'm a big fan of helping other people be creative. I think you know that already. I've talked about it a few times. I run some projects which help sort of slightly more established creators get more creative, or get their work to new people, such as New Year, New Stories, which is a comic anthology that I do yearly. I've also written books like The Writer's Journey and How to Be Creative, with the aim of helping people understand how to be a better writer, or how I go about ensuring that my creative projects both start and finish in an orderly manner. But one thing that I don't do a lot of is push people who could be creative to actually do it. You know, a lot of it by necessity. You know, I don't live in their house and I can't tell them every day, oh, go be creative, go be creative. A lot of it is you're going to have to motivate yourself a little bit here. I'll give you some ideas around motivation, as I did in How to Be Creative, but you're gonna have to pull your finger out and do it. And I thought to myself, I was asked by MCM Comic Con, which is the biggest convention here in the UK, in London. I was asked to run a workshop, and I'd heard about a workshop where at Dragon Meet, which is a large London-based role-playing game convention, I'd heard about a workshop which focused on building a role-playing game in an hour. And I thought to myself, well, I could do that. I reckon I could do that. I reckon I could do a workshop like that. So I offered this to MCM Comic Con, which they snapped up. They loved the idea. This was for MCM May last year. And I went, and I had no idea. I did not set any bounds apart from it will probably use the Era D10 rule set. I didn't set any bounds on what we would create and what we would build. And so, as this hour passes, like half an hour in, I find out that actually, we talked about, like, we had some ideas thrown out at the beginning. We talked about Diesel Punk, we talked about sharks and ninjas and Sharkninjas, and we came up with the idea of a Sharkninja, sort of in the 5 minutes at the start of the workshop. And then, you know, I sort of had in mind a Street Sharks Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing going on, right? So they're like these shunned individuals. But what I did was go, right, now we're at this point, let's hand the history of the Sharkninja to this table, and why the Sharkninja are fighting now and what they're trying to achieve to this table, and so on and so on and so on. Spread out, some did mechanics and weapons, some did the character stats stuff, and so on. So I was trying to give some insight into how I go about creating a role-playing game. And we come back 10, 15 minutes later, and they're like, oh yeah, they're fighting to free humans because they're, you know, like, humans taste really bad when they're fed on boiled broccoli and cabbage, which is all the aliens give them. And, you know, they want the humans to be free range so they taste better. And it's like, okay, makes sense. Fair enough. Yep, that works. Let's go with it. There was that moment of, okay, fair enough. So, you know, we did that hour-long workshop, and what we came out with was a whole bunch of pieces of paper where people had made some notes, a little bit of talking into recordings. Like, I'd had people record on their phones, like a background on what the world is like, and so on. And I took what was in there. I did some tweaks because obviously you're in a 1 hour workshop. I can't explain absolutely everything about every aspect of Era D10 and what'll make it work. I also had to do a playtest and just modify a couple of things because in my playtest, my players didn't choose any stealth skills to be Sharkninjas. So I had to fix that. Unbelievable. So everyone who was in that workshop is credited in the book right here. Everyone worked hard, you know, everyone sat down and did their best. It was about 35 people. They sat down, they did their best, and quick shout out to Leo Kosh and Robert Campbell, without whom that workshop would not have gone well. They came along to assist me in herding the cats, as it were. It was quite a lot on my own, so they really gave me a hand.
Yeah, which is understandable when you're working with about 35 people.
But everyone was very well behaved, and it was very popular. You know, a workshop with 35 people. The previous one had 5 people. You know, it's like we were sat outside looking, and the previous one had 5 people, and we're going, okay, well, I mean, we can make it work with 5 people. It's fine. We'll do this and this, and then 35 people turn up to create a role-playing game. So it's like, okay, cool. Okay, we'll just work this out. It's fine. So what came out was Era Sharkninja, and I brought on board an artist called Enakshi. I can't ever pronounce her name. She did these very 90s animated inspired images of Sharkninja. And we built it out into, you know, the images that we needed. Here are some alien robots for you. Here's the big advanced alien robot. So we built out the world, and we did a few images, and I wrote up the book. And the thing that really pushed me to actually finish the book was actually I was asked to come back and do another workshop in October last year of the same kind, you know, of a create a role-playing game. And I thought, look, if I'm going to come back into another workshop, I've got to prove to these people that I'll put my money where my mouth is, right? I'm going to have to prove that if they come up with a good idea, I'm going to make that a reality. I'm going to make it happen. So, Era Sharkninja, I had it for October. I wanted to keep it exclusive for anyone in that group, the original group of people who created it, so they could have it first. I've sent out about 20 of them to members of the group. The others, unfortunately, didn't respond, but that's just life. And now it's on Kickstarter, ready for everyone to enjoy it.
Yep, and it's only a few days. The Kickstarter is only a few days from being finished. Obviously, the link is going to be in the description on the YouTube version of this interview. But at the time we're doing this, you had a goal of 5.
You're a Sharkninja.
Yeah, you had a goal of 500, and it's currently at 760 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to claim that I, you know, broke the bank on making sure it was the, you know, the highest quality artwork in the universe. It's nice. It's bold. It's a very specific style.
Yeah.
But it's not, you know, I'm not talking about Era the Consortium or you know, Era Lost Legend artwork. It's a 90s animated style. It's designed to be done quickly.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, 500 covered the costs that I needed to, you know, for creating it. I'm very, very happy with that funded goal, and we've already hit a stretch goal of 700, which is digital tokens. So this was a request from backers. I'm going to deliver, along with the book, a number of PNG digital tokens for people to use on virtual tabletops.
Yeah, I can certainly get that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
nice thing to do.
When it comes to this workshop design, since that was key to the development process of this game, were the factions also part of that workshop where people were pitching potential ideas for different factions?
Absolutely. So the Deep Blue and I think I might have named Deep Blue because I think that's a funny joke. Because I did my dissertation about AI. So I think that calling a faction in a game Deep Blue is funny because also Deep Blue Sea, so double pun.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ones who want to make peace, the ones who, you know, believe that you know, they want to become human. Yeah, that was all stuff that these guys came up with. The locations as well was something they came up with.
Yeah, I can get that.
I took what they came up with in the workshop and just gave it a bit of a polish, but the essence of what they said is right there. It's all in here. Ow! I just poked myself in the nose with the book.
I'm guessing it's the same thing for the locations. Those were proposed by people during that workshop.
Absolutely, and even the summary of the current situation, the content of what's in there. I mean, I wrote the words, but it was just paraphrasing what they'd come up with.
Yeah, I can
So
certainly
right the way
get that.
through, you know, from the first page, second page, what are Sharkninja, the alien robots, the factions, the locations, the chosen skills that we had were chosen by one of the tables. Much of the equipment was invented by one of the tables, such as the shuriken teeth, which I think is quite a unique idea. But apparently, some shark can fire their teeth at things, which is terrifying. There's only one thing I took out. They had combined the razor wire nunchaku with the flamethrower. So there were flamethrower, razor wire nunchaku, and I said that's too much. I'm not doing that. That's one step too far.
Is that like when somebody decided to try and meme into existence the lightsaber nunchucks?
It was a little bit like that. So I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'll have a flamethrower. That makes total sense. The idea that alien robots might get set on fire because they're diesel powered and then take damage, that was also from the weapons table. Like trying to use their fuel against them to set them on fire. The equipment, like the bioluminescent fish and the scout fish and the cleaning shrimp, that was all from them. The rules in general are standard Era D10 rules with a few bits and pieces that are specific to the game, mostly come up with by me.
Yep.
And then the types of alien robots are actually something I added. I wanted to have lots of different kinds of enemies, or a few different kinds of enemies anyway. And obviously the GM advice and the gaining experience stuff was all from me.
Yeah, I will admit when I looked at the enemies, one of the mindsets I ended up thinking of is the enemy types you would see in the beat 'em ups when we were growing up in the 90s.
Yeah. Streets of Rage 2 got a look in here.
You know, the best Streets of Rage.
Oh yeah.
But because it seems that there's this motif of older, blockier designs and newer, more, for lack of a better term, humanoid.
I wanted it to really reflect this idea that the alien robots are just invincible. Right? Like the original alien robots, they landed and humans nuked them and nothing happened. Right? It was just nothing. It wasn't Independence Day, there's a shield. It was literally their metallurgy is so good that nothing happened. Didn't even leave a scratch. And I thought that was a really fun idea. And then the idea that most of those are gone now because they've taken over the planet. So the few that are left, they're like building these blocky designs from whatever they can find on the planet. I was going to say Earth. I don't think it's Earth. I think it's another planet. But it's an Earth-like planet and an Earth-like civilization. And they're just building these designs out of what they can get, which is mostly very dirty, diesel punky, you know, diesel engines and whatnot. And they're using their advanced kind of technology, but limited by the resources they have. I always found that there was a secret project in Alpha Centauri, one of my favorite turn-based strategy games, which always stuck with me. It was about, you know, people keep asking why it's taken us so long to get back into space after, you know, given we traveled across space, you know, and Santiago, the leader of the very militant faction, she says, well, you know, people forget that we need power supplies, we need materials, we need supply chains, we need, you know, all of these things. And I tried to imagine what it would be like for an alien robot that is one of these advanced models with none of the metallurgy and none of the ability to make an energy core that they would normally use and none of that stuff. What would it be like for them having to try and build an army of alien robots to enslave humanity? And that's where I came up with the ninja robot, which I figured the robots are going to see the Sharkninjas and go, right, we should have one of those and make a ninja robot.
Yeah, if you can't beat them, copy them.
They were just the big orange clunky ones. And then they made the ninja robots to try and fight back. Here we go. Here's an orange clunky one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a ninja robot.
Yeah. The more clunky design, for whatever reason, I end up getting flashbacks of things like the Mackie in BattleTech, things that are probably too heavy for their own good. They walk, they look scary, but
it was certainly my intention that the Sharkninja can take them down relatively easily. I mean, I even did an image of it being badly outmaneuvered.
Yeah.
In the hope that it would present that idea, because yeah, definitely it's that they're not supposed to be good against much except humans who are like, yes, okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even the ninja robots, they're a little more of a challenge for Sharkninja, but Sharkninja can really rip through them quite badly.
Mm-hmm.
The advanced robots then are just this massive step up in competence and technology.
Yeah.
So the Sharkninja have to really work very hard. I ran a game of Era Sharkninja. I was just at a convention. It's the reason that we're talking so late, because otherwise I'm sure we would have spoken last week at some point, or maybe even the week before.
Mm-hmm.
But I just went to my favorite convention in the UK. It's called Contingency, and by the way, if anyone is in the UK at the end of January, it is the best convention in the UK for tabletop role playing, in my humble opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So, go there. It's basically 5 days of 3 slots a day, 4-hour slots, play role playing games.
Mm-hmm.
No large trade hall. Yeah, there are a couple of traders there. I'm one of them, but no large trade hall. No one's trying to put things in your hands and take your money every 5 minutes. It's about the games, and then secondarily, if you like the game, please go and support the creator of it, kind of thing. Or oh hey, you need some dice. Fine, there's a merchant over there who's selling dice. That sort of thing. I ran a game of Era Sharkninja there. I thought it would be fun. I thought it would be a nice thing to do. Obviously, I'm running the Kickstarter. I thought it would be really nice to run a game of it. So I did. It went extremely well. The group, they tore through a couple of the big orange robots, and they ended up climbing into this advanced alien building that they couldn't open. And they climbed on top, and then the top opened, and they fell in. 2 of them, anyway. And they ended up standing face to face with one of these advanced robots, and they tried to use all their grenades and things, and it just was like, yeah, it would like, catch the grenade at arm's length before it would even reach it, and then throw it in the air so it blows up in the air. That sort of thing. And in the end, one of them sacrificed their life to be able to defeat this alien robot. And all they were really trying to do was rescue a specific human, a Dr. Takeda. They had to rescue him because he knew about things that were going on, and the session went quite deep into what was happening there. They found an alien ship buried beneath the surface. Where, like one of the impenetrable alien ships. And that leaves a lot of questions as to where that came from.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, a lot of fun. And it runs really nicely. It uses all of the strengths of Era D10 as you might expect from a game that I've created. And yeah, it's just an outstandingly unusual concept.
Yeah. And since you were doing tests with this, obviously you heavily emphasize stealth. You even have it as the second point of interest in the general advice section. When you were doing playtests, did you have instances where people had to learn the hard way that stealth is going to be more vital to keeping yourself alive?
Yeah, my first playtest, as I said, neither of the players took stealth, and they both got surrounded and had no way to vanish. They both got killed in my first playtest because they didn't take stealth, which is why I changed the character creation slightly. Every Sharkninja has 2 stealth. It's just part of your Sharkninja training. You have stealth. You can build on that. You can have more stealth than that, but everyone has 2 stealth.
Which is fair, because I think a lot of players especially when you're dealing with a power fantasy, which this very much is. are going to have that temptation to shout "Hoorah" and charge in.
Yeah. Every time a player's done that, they've ended up dead quite quickly. It happened at contingency. It happened in that first playtest. The second playtest, people didn't do that. They played it very slow and careful.
Yeah. And I think one of the other big things to note is, and maybe this was done previously, and it's just not entering my memory, is the whole thing with unlimited ammo.
Yeah. It is common in Era T10. I don't think that there are some occasions, Era Survival, Era Forbidden. Trying to remember if there's anything else. I don't think so. Not offhand. Maybe a few specific items. But unlimited ammo is a principle that I generally believe in. Now, that's not infinite, right? That is, I'm not going to make you mark off every time you use your weapon. I'm going to allow you to use it freely.
Yeah.
Grenades, you've got a bandolier of them. You throw them. Within reason, you're not going to run out. You decide that you're going to put all your grenades together to, make a nuclear weapon because you have an infinite amount of grenades. Shockingly, you then run out. That's really what unlimited ammo is about. It's about not having to tick off every time you fire an arrow or run your chainsword katana. Here's the funniest thing about creating Era Sharkninja. They didn't think of it. The weapons table did not think of a chainsword katana.
Really?
I have no idea how they didn't come up with that. I added the chainsword katanas. Because, obviously, if you're going to be a diesel punk Sharkninja, right? No, they didn't come up with it. I came up with that. They didn't think of it. Which amazes me to this day.
I don't know. Maybe some people think that Games Workshop has a monopoly on chainswords or something. I don't know. I mean, they don't.
I don't know. I think if you're gonna do diesel punk, you're looking at chainsaws, and if you've got a Sharkninja, it's a chainsword katana. Definitely.
Oh, well, I'd probably go one step further and do a chainsword no dachi.
We did talk about that once I did the katana, but I was just like, no. I'm just gonna go with the katana, and if someone wants to enhance it, rock on.
Yeah, and that's admittedly my tendency to give my players extremely powerful but unsafe weapons. I've told you about that before.
Oh yeah, I mean, you'll love the razor wire nunchaku. Not a good idea when you think about how you use them.
Yeah,
not a good idea.
I could see some people raising an eyebrow, but long chain nunchaku are a thing. So there is the possibility of that.
Not being able to hold the chain against you is the problem, I guess.
Yeah. I could see some people improvising it and using it kind of like a flail or the like.
Yeah. I can see them using it more like a flail or even a garrote wire.
Or going even further, using it like it's the vampire killer just with an extra step.
Or you could shove one end into a robot, like an intake vent or something, because they're all diesel engines, so they've all got intakes, right? You shove one end in there and just let it go.
Yeah,
it'll do some damage.
Yeah, and when it comes to that whole unlimited ammo thing, I'm in a similar mindset, since the approach I've often taken with a lot of games is ammo's unlimited, but your clip isn't. Which may sound a bit game.
You're gonna have to reload, but you have as many clips as you're likely to need.
Yeah.
The reason unlimited ammo happened was actually someone in a consortium game many years ago now, where he said, well, I've got infinite ammo. So in that case, each of these needles from my needle gun has 1 drop of poison in it, right? Okay, I'm going to open my unlimited number of poison things, split them, drop the drop of poison into this 1 meter cube, and fill it with poison. I told him where to stick it. And unlimited rather than infinite ammo became a thing. Never let board gamers play role-playing games.
I see that, and I raise you one. Never let engineers play role-playing games.
He's also an electrical engineer, so yeah, I'll give you that.
Because experience has taught me they will make beautiful and horrifying things. Everybody's familiar with the meme of the arrow of total destruction. It can get worse.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially, and I have a friend who is an engineer by trade who served in the army. So he has that, and he has military humor, which is the worst of both worlds. But given that, since you brought up grenades, was the saltwater grenade one of the things you came up with, or was that someone in the workshop who came up with that?
That was someone in the workshop.
Mhm.
They figured that it would rust the diesel engines, right? Or at least get into the tank and salt them.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the engine dies. So I thought that was a fun idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely kept it.
Mm-hmm. Plus, dealing with sharks. Sharks are always going to be in the ocean, so it's a natural fit.
Exactly. So it does nothing to Sharkninja, but it hurts the robots. That was why they came up with it, if I understood correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a very good idea.
Yeah. Plus, it would be a setting equivalent of, say, a chaff grenade.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to make the tech level for Sharkninja quite low.
Mm-hmm.
It's stuff they've stolen, like a flamethrower, or even maybe the chainsword katanas, because those are used by the ninja robots. I don't know whether the Sharkninja created them or the ninja robots did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the idea was that their tech level is quite low. They're using a lot of sort of bioengineered stuff that maybe Dr. Chowdhury created. Dr. Chowdhury, for anyone watching, is the creator of the Sharkninja.
Mm-hmm.
So she maybe created some, like, these cleaning shrimp and these bioluminescent shrimp and stuff. Bioluminescent fish, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, they've only got what you could quite easily put together on your own. We've got the razor wire and nunchaku, but all you really need for that is 2 bits of wood and some razor wire. It's not a challenge. Flamethrowers stolen off the robots, because most of them have flamethrowers on their arm.
Mm-hmm.
The saltwater grenade, the use of the bleeding fire, as I said, the shuriken teeth, which they have biologically.
Yeah, some very MacGyver tech.
Yeah, I didn't want them to be highly innovative. I wanted them to be good at using what they find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've
got a saltwater grenade there, actually. That's what they look like. Oh, yeah. Can you see that? It's a bit reflective.
Yeah. And it's definitely a case of very improvisational engineering kind of thing. The kind of thing where somebody's just taking what's lying around to make something that, by all rights, they probably shouldn't.
It's sort of a 5-year-old Donatello.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's sort of what I had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is fun. I could do this.
Yeah.
It's not sophisticated. It's just, yeah, that'll do. That'll work.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that when it comes to the weaponry of, like, the robots, because of the fact that it's cobbled together from those sorts of things, a lot of ranged weaponry isn't as much of a thing with them.
Well, the robots don't tend to use much ranged weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
They're big. They move faster than humans, mostly, especially malnourished humans. They use flamethrowers to keep control. It's all shock and awe.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, the invasion's over. People are not fighting back. They aren't killed if they work with the robots, so they work with the robots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can certainly get that.
Much more a I am suppressed, I am forced to put my head down and do what you say,
mm-hmm.
than a I'm working with you willingly, but they're not fighting back actively constantly.
Oh yeah. And
they're an oppressed people with no hope for the future.
And it didn't escape my notice that you had put in ways to disable just through location.
Yep.
And I'm guessing that was something that the playtesters learned to kind of lean into. You know, take out the limbs before you try and go for the whole thing.
I think that's always a good thing to add. I actually include it in most of the era games that you can go, oh hey, I want to go for the arm, the leg, whatever. Because I also think that when you're fighting something that's bigger than you, and the Sharkninja are only about half the volume of those big orange robots, so they are a lot smaller. If you go straight for the core, you're probably going to get killed before you get to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can only jump and dodge out the way for so long before eventually a lucky shot hits you.
Oh yeah. Especially since, I think each of the base one and the advanced one have access to a metal hand, so I'm guessing one of their primary tactics would be grab and then possibly burn.
Grab and burn is exactly the sort of thing. That one was inspired by a few of the shots from Dawn of War 2, which had Tyranids in it, so it was my favorite Dawn of War game by a mile. When the Dreadnought first shows up, he sort of grabs one and then flames it with the other hand, and I was just like, that is so cool. I'm using that.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, I played this game over 10 years ago, so, you know...
And when it,
I don't know why it came to my mind, but it did.
Yeah, and when it comes to the limb thing, I could easily see myself telling my players just use dead space level of thinking, and you'll know what to do.
Well, you'll have more of an opportunity to survive. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is staying out of the way and running and knowing when to run and when to fight. And the thing is, ultimately, you are outnumbered, you are outgunned, you are out-teched, you are probably out-intelligence. So you're going to have to be clever in the way you close in and attack.
Yeah.
And that's hence the Sharkninja. I wanted to lean into that. Okay, you're a ninja, and that gives you certain advantages against robots that march down the center of the street.
Yeah. I think in that regard, the closest ninja analog I'd use when it comes to approaching encounters. Are you familiar with the Tenchu games?
I'm vaguely familiar with them. I haven't played them.
Tenchu was a stealth action series of ninja games that started on the PS1. Had a couple entries on the PS2 and one weird entry on the 360, but it very much emphasized stealth. And unlike a lot of other stealth action games, there wasn't a built-in radar or a mini map or anything like that. You had to rely on these symbol identifiers as you essentially getting a read on the key of an area, and utilizing tools that you'd pick beforehand. What was key, much in the same way that using tools is key in, say, the Thief games, and getting into a straight up fights is boss fights with notwithstanding is not a good idea, because you are kind of squishy, and there's more of them than you, and they hit harder than you.
The Thief games are definitely another influence on this. They are effectively very similar feel. Yeah, I mean, I know in the Thief games you can actually do a lot more with your sword than... certainly in Thief 1, you can do a lot more with your sword than most people think you can.
Yeah.
But, you're supposed to not have to, right? You're supposed to not do that.
And you can get swarmed pretty quick in the original Thief.
In certain levels, definitely, yeah. There are also certain levels like Constantine's Mansion, where it was just like, yeah, you can literally kill every guard here because they're in ones and pairs, and you just kill every guard and dump them in the same room for the lol.
Yeah, or some of the ones where killing undead doesn't count for the don't kill anyone objectives.
Yeah, there is that too.
Oh. Of course, then there's stuff like the Thieves Guild, but I'd rather not think of the Thieves Guild again.
Actually, it was the Hammerites that really got me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I didn't.
They are basically, they seem to be unlimited.
Yeah.
Don't fight the Hammerites. They're scary.
Mm-hmm. Which I think was the intent.
Oh yeah, yeah, I think that's definitely what they were going for. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Because especially given how zealous they are, particularly. But given all of that, especially with the fact that the robot core is a potential weapon, would a common tactic be to try and get at the core to take it out?
So only certain robots have a core that you can remove in that way, and it's the advanced ones specifically. That's basically a nuke. You're basically carrying a nuke on your back. Not highly recommended, but if you can defeat an alien robot, you know, an original alien robot, like an advanced one, then yeah, definitely I would not leave there without the core. They're very strong. They're very useful.
Which it definitely seems like the advanced robots are in this system the equivalent of like solo type monsters back in the days of 4th edition. Things that are meant to take on a party by themselves. They
are mostly able to take a party out by themselves, yeah. They are just so far beyond, and again, remembering the story, the lore that we've built up for this world, they are from those UFOs that landed that humans nuked and didn't do anything. They're made of that metal. They are the Galactic Invasion Force. And they were smart enough to build other robots out of whatever scraps they could find. So, yeah, they are a formidable opponent, and the sensible people, when they see one, they run. They run and hide, and hope they can get away.
Yeah, I guess in that
pretty much the only chance.
I guess in that regard,
I ran last week. Just had no interest in fighting really. He was sort of bored. He was he had been around for 300 years and he was just a bit bored of existing and conquering new planets and stuff. It was like, yeah, you know what? Put down your weapons and go away, and I won't chase you. Just leave me alone, yeah. Of course they fought him, and of course, as I said, one of them had to sacrifice himself to defeat them. But yeah.
I suppose
he didn't want to fight.
I suppose in that regard, a closer analogy that I could make regarding the advanced robot is, say, Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 or the Sand Wraith in the Prince of Persia games.
Yeah. Those are a good example. The only thing being that they don't necessarily, like I said, they have personality. They don't necessarily want to fight all the time. Nemesis was just, this unstoppable thing that you had to run away from. I'm trying to remember which Prince of Persia game Sandwraith was in. Was it Forgotten Sands?
It was Warrior Within.
Warrior Within. Oh wait, you mean the Phantom? No, hang on.
No, the Sandwraith was that thing that kept chasing him because of him fucking with time.
Right, yes, the giant thing with tentacles that come out of its chest. Yes, now I remember. Wow, how did I forget that? It's been a long time since I played Warrior Within, in fairness. Yes, I was thinking of the Phantom when you said that, the Black Phantom, which I'm not going to spoiler anyone who hasn't played that game. If you haven't played that game, go play that game. And I'm very, very sorry about the first boss and the second time you meet her, but otherwise that game is very playable.
Yeah. But
what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
You know,
first boss in the game. First boss.
The phrase "what were they thinking" could apply to so many decisions with Ubisoft over the years.
That said, I really enjoyed the most recent Prince of Persia game, The Lost Crown.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet, but I've heard nothing but positive
played
about
it.
it.
It's enjoyable. It's much more like to me it feels much more like the original ones. Because it's very 2D feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it is absolutely a one where you will be, if you do not platform excellently, you will happily be in one place for 20 minutes. Just doing the same thing and dying over and over again to try and get the right sequence of jumps with the right timing, and then jump on top of the thing and then jump there and know where to go, and oh, now I've got further, so now I land on the spikes.
Yeah.
Okay, start again.
That's
You know,
definitely
it's
key.
very much that feeling.
Yeah. I have played the original Prince of Persia, and it's games like that that are the reason why I have a punching bag in my office.
I mean, a couple of people were around while I was playing it, and they were like, "Aren't you really frustrated by this?" And I'm like, "No, it's what the game is. Like that's what game I've chosen to play. How can I possibly be frustrated by it being difficult? I want it to be difficult."
I remember reading in an interview in Doom World a long time ago with the Casali brothers after they had made the Plutonia experiment, and one of them had said, "We made it to it may have been Mario Casali. We made it for people who had already played Doom 2 and wanted a new challenge," and he outright said, "I have no sympathy for anyone who picks it up and complains that it's too hard." It's like, yeah,
I have that feeling quite a lot. You know, there are definitely games that are too hard that I can't do, but there are only about 3 of them that, through really continuously trying and working hard at it, that I couldn't get through. Vanquish and Catherine are 2 of them.
Yeah. I've
can't get the platinums.
Yeah, I've talked about the difference between bad game design and evil game design.
Yes, that's a very important difference, isn't it? It's not a bad game, and one of the things I like about Prince of Persia, the new one, is a bit similar to what I like about Super Meat Boy. It's really hard, okay? No one's pretending otherwise. But if you die, it's because you made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't time your jump right, or you didn't dash at the right moment, or whatever it is, you did it. Right? And you know you did it, and you know it was you, and you know that you should do better if you're going to do it. So it can be fiendishly hard, while still, like, that's not BS. I'm not going, this game is just taking the piss now. I'm going, right, I'm just not good enough, so I have to get better.
Yeah. The big example I often use when it comes to evil game design is the original Descent.
Yeah. That's a good example.
The threshold is when you have to play a very, very specific way in order to not even do well, but just get past certain obstacles. And
yeah. I mean, it's like, I'm trying to think of another good example. I was playing. You know what? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is not an easy game on hard mode. It's hard. You've got to really know what you're doing, and especially some of the challenges for single characters. Because I'm a platinum hunter. I do platinums. So some of the single challenges for characters, they're really hard.
Yeah.
You have to be so good with that character to have any chance whatsoever. And that means that you're learning. But then you also get hard mode, and you're going around, you're doing bosses, and you're just going, right, well, I've got these 3 characters, and I'm just going to press these buttons, and I've got easy mode now, and you're like, okay, that's kind of lame. Like, if that's the only way to get past the boss, you have to play a specific way with a specific setup, and otherwise it's virtually impossible. Yeah, you're not winning my acclaim for game design.
Yeah. I will admit that playing like Wolfenstein 3D on some of the higher difficulties is definitely a case of that, because mostly because of how it's designed, and also because certain enemy types like the mutants have a unique way of being able to sneak up on you.
I'm willing to give Wolfenstein 3D a lot of latitude, though. Like, given its era.
Oh yeah.
right? I'm willing to give that a lot of latitude.
And I give the same era to Descent because nobody had really done full 6 degrees of freedom in a shooter before.
Yeah.
Now Descent 2, I'm a little bit less inclined to give it a pass for some of its stuff because it's been at least a year and you should know better by then. Plus, a lot of the people who were involved with Descent were Looking Glass people. So, veterans by that point.
Yeah.
But with now getting back to Sharkninja. Now with the book as is, I think it's only around 34, 35 pages, give or take.
About that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a huge tome.
Mm-hmm. Which is why it's in the pocket rulebook family of the Arrowverse. Please do not coin the term Arrowverse. That is terrible. But what would you be shooting for as far as a release window?
I'm literally holding the book in my hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's ready. As soon as the Kickstarter's over, this is coming out. There's absolutely no reason to wait. The only reason I waited as long as I did before putting it on Kickstarter is, as I say, I wanted to give the people who helped create it 6 months to get hold of it before I gave it to the general public.
Yeah.
Because I think they should have the thrill, the benefit, the priority
Mm-hmm.
of being like, okay, well, I helped create this, I get to play it first.
Yeah. And you did choose some apropos timing because right now we're smack dab in the middle of Zine Quest month. So,
well, actually, I'm still hoping to launch something for Zine Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not a Zine Quest project. It's
Yeah,
actually a Make 100 project.
Mm-hmm.
But I am hoping to launch a Zine Quest. I have an idea, and I've not entirely decided which way I'm going to go yet.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the problems I have is I have a lot of really good ideas for mechanics, and I don't know how I'm ever really going to publish an entire game for it with artwork and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also don't know which ones to focus on. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
I could do this, I could do that, I could do this.
Yeah, I've gotten that feeling plenty of times.
What I think I'm going to do is basically do some zines,
Mm-hmm.
which are quite small, quite short, but they work with the Era D10 fundamentals and go, right, but I'm changing this rule, and here's a setting, and
Mm-hmm.
here's the way characters are different, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Because I really want to put some of those mechanics out into the world. I've got I may have lamented to you before, I probably have,
Mm-hmm.
that initiative is the worst mechanic in my game. It's unintuitive, and it doesn't make sense to anyone who doesn't already play role-playing games.
Mm-hmm.
Because you roll 1 dice and you add it to your initiative number. It's what everyone does for initiative.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't make sense within Era D10. Well, I came up with an alternative that is much more similar to what we do now, like with our standard rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to put it out into the world and have people try it out. So that might be a thing.
Oh yeah.
And I've got a setting that it would suit perfectly as a way of exploring.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some ideas around some settings that I'd really like to put out there, but I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. I mean, I've sat on them for 5 years, some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, maybe I'll do a zine quest and fund zines where I go, right, here's the modifier on the Era D10 fundamentals, which is free anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Have a go at this. Try this out.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see it. And I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what sort of insanity comes out of Sharkninja, and of course beyond that. But with that said, I do want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come all the way to my temple once again and enjoy the madness that happens here.
It's always a pleasure to be here, Mildra.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, just thank you for having me back again.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm sure we'll see each other again quite soon.
Oh yeah. It's like a boomerang. We always come back. But of course, drinking is not mandatory around here, but it is encouraged. And a sincere thanks goes out to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there will be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra, I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody!
So